Wow, wow, wow. Dear Dalith, dear Andy, I'm so happy that you're here with us today, ready to share your knowledge. I'm a fan of you and your amazing platform, building bridges. I think that's something we have in common. And today on a Sunday, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Right. We're going to talk about ethical AI, and probably you also tell us what's an ethical AI actually, or a responsible AI. You've been doing that for years, but maybe you would like first to introduce yourself. Dear Dalith, please begin.
Thanks. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever the people are this Sunday. Happy to be here. I'm Dalith Steiger. I'm the co-founder together with Andy of SwissCognitive, a platform that shares, connects, and unlocks the potential of AI cross-industry. And one of the most important things, as you just mentioned, the beginning is really building bridges. Besides that, I'm passionate about AI. I'm a mother of 2 teenager girls, what makes me even a very intense role model for girls and women in tech. And privately, I'm passionate about high heels.
Great. Love that. Love that. Yes, and with ethical AI, we also build a better future, right, for our children and grandchildren. That's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Dear Andy, what about you?
I start also with my 3 boys. So I have not 3 boys. So it means we are responsible, first of all, not only for them, also to build their future, their welfare, their possibility to grow in a world that's healthy enough to stay in it. So it's not given. It's some things that it's our aim also with SwissCognitive to deliver this, to fulfill this duty. And of course, my background is Chief Information Officer in large groups. And this helps us a lot to see inside the company, what they do and how they struggling with new technology. And as the topic is in it, today is how we combine this with ethical behavior.
Great. Love that too. Love that too. Great. Yes, AI is something we could say we leave the technology companies, we leave them the responsibility, or we'll also see what we can do as users. So it's about creating and using it ethically or more responsibly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see who has joined us, and then we'll move to our points, or let me show the points first. Dear community, thank you for joining us. First, we'll talk about what's an ethical AI actually, and why is an ethical AI the state of the art. Then we'll move on to how does your platform, the platform Cognitive Virtual, build bridges and boost knowledge transfer. And last but not least, 3 ways to create and use responsible AI. Great. We've got Anna with us from Romania. And we've got Michaela Ritz from Germany. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's start with the first one. Dear Dalith, we would like to talk about ethical AI. It's the state of the art, or it should be the state of the art. But first, what's an ethical AI? Just shortly.
I would say it's actually not about ethical AI, it's about ethical human being, because we are the ones using technology. So there is where it starts, and it's our responsibility.
Love that. It's our responsibility.
If we would start with ethical behavior with AI, it would be far too late. We started this with all the technology that we have on Earth, especially also, as we know, with nuclear power around this technology, how to behave as an engineer. I'm an engineer, and we had this topic in our study time to how we should behave, how we should ask ourselves, and what's our principle is. I'm missing this today, actually. We are not better than 20, 30 years ago. And now we're facing a new technology, a technology that at first time invent innovation themselves. That makes me a bit nervous if it's come to the topic of AI, ethical questions, because we are not there with frameworks, with education, with awareness in the public. So there is an open door for this new technology to explore, and I'm not sure where we're heading to, but still there's a point to act.
Right. I get you. We auditors also have our ethical principles. The doctors have as well, and it's high time we talk about it also here. We also talk about social responsibility, the sustainability topics, and now technology or technological responsibility is also now coming up. And it's very important that we discuss it, we talk about it, we see what we can do, not only for designers. Right. And I love the way you linked it, dear Dalith, to our human responsibilities. We interact with AI, whether we know it or not. Many people do. And I realize, for example, LinkedIn or Facebook, it's also a question of who are we leaving out? Are they the people who we've been leaving out ever since anyway? Because if I want to write a comment, I just need to write. I cannot send a voice message. What do you think about that?
I didn't really get the question. What do you mean about like the difference between that we can send text messages but not voice messages? Or I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's just an example. If I'd like to write a comment on LinkedIn, I must write, right? But for me, the ethical or responsible AI would also mean checking who are we leaving out with our solutions, right?
I got it.
Yeah, and those people without hands or who cannot write, they cannot now comment. That's, for me, another side of ethical or responsible technology.
Absolutely, and you just hit the nail on the top. This is one of the topics that for me are very important, that people realize that handicapped people have chances they never had before. And this goes also into the discussion about, will I remain with my job? Will I lose my job? Or normally we talk about tasks and not about the whole job. And there we really need to reflect ourselves and say, okay, do I really have a lifelong right to have my job, and someone who is handicapped will never have one? And these days we definitely have great technology that brings exactly the example that you brought, that you can, by thinking, actually texting. We just shared one of the articles in today's Sunday's newsletter about that. So if people are interested, this is exactly one of the things that is also ethical. Now we can discuss what would be more ethical, that someone that is kind of normal remains lifelong right on a job, or is it more ethical to actually include everyone and give them the chances? And I think this is a very hot topic. And for me, it's enable and empower everyone. And for me, it's kind of a parallel topic to the Convention of Human Rights.
Oh, but yes.
Adding here something, I think it's a thin path between a system or systems from large tech company that's known with everyone of myself, like a DNA of myself, my behavior, what I do, how I speak, and can replicate this at the end and can use this for their purpose and not giving me the rights to have this data. This is one side, and this is actually the side that is growing and growing. And the other hand is what can we do? And you refer to this. What can we do with AI, and why we don't do this to celebrate the establishment of this 17 sustainable goals to help them and to come better on a worldwide perspective. So this is always a kind of balance, and I think we are not there. We see a lot of also criminal ones, not only the tech giant, but they don't mean criminals, but there are also criminal activity and really in these terms of replicating me or imitating me, and knowing much more for myself as I would do, or and whatever my environment is doing. So this is not as easy to say, okay, we just do some things for the good. And this also means always how we do this in which framework. And that's exactly the talk that we going around the globe. And we should force this talk even more, because we do not have frameworks today. There are frameworks, but not policy in place that everyone is written to and forced to fulfill. Yeah.
Wow, great, great. So you mean we should use it as a chance to celebrate diversity as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is one of our principle anyway. You better look at the half full glass instead of the half empty. And something that I also intend to say, although it's a bit tough, the crucial part of the whole thing is a human being. It's not technology. Technology per se is not crucial. Technology reflects ourself, our brain pattern, our way of thinking, our culture. And a very important point there is to see the chance that with that we can have a mirror and reflecting ourselves by using these emerging technology, cognitive technology, but it needs to be clear that it's an iterative process, that we have to go back and forward, not in our own little cave. It's within a team, within a company, with the client, and you have also to fail fast, check with the client what works, what doesn't work, to make sure that we reflect the right things and that we are aiming to a responsible and trustful technology, whether it's AI or something else. I mean,
Wow.
let's take one example that I really love, that people normally laugh at that. If you drive these days, people, they just rely on the technology in the car. How many people are really looking out the window and in the mirror if they park, or they just listen to the distance controller? How fast do they drive down the passes, the Alps, because they know, oh, I have ESP, I have ABS, I have whatsoever, because I think technology will handle that. And as soon as we do have the trust into technology and we realize how much it takes and makes our life easier, we trust blindly, and this is dangerous.
That's a very good example. It took ages, I guess. Now it's normal, but I guess it took ages to bring us there.
Yeah, and if just imagine, we are always heading to the conversation that AI changed too much in the world. Like, okay, now we have autonomous car, or we have autonomous airplanes, and so on, trains, and so on. And I think that's just the way how this works. Because if we would invent a crossing with autonomous car, we would never have traffic lights, isn't it? But but if we would have first autonomous car and then someone would invent traffic lights, everyone would say, this is so unsafe, this is awful, you can stop or not, there's no enforcement, and there will be so many accidents. And we have accidents because it's just a helping tool, because the cars are not talking to each other. We have to talk via the traffic light. And this is just awful at the end, because our eyes, our reaction, all relies on this system. And if someone is tired, not reflecting to, or their reflection is not as fast as needed, then we have an accident. So we are still belong on the all traditions, all beliefs. That's like the captain on a ship. Why he should steer all the time, not autopilot or something like this, because they're doing better, because they know, why should I speed up, because the harbor is not ready, and all the information they have, but the normal captain do not have. They're just going the path that he's supposed to do. And so we have a lot of system in place that's just all tradition, and we should break a bit and make it better, and make it better for the environment and for ourselves.
I bet that our grandchildren, they will tell us, what? You're driving by yourself? I don't trust you, Granny. Why should I drive with you to the kindergarten? Can't we just take the autonomous car?
Yeah.
I'm sure of that.
That's
I'm
the
sure of
reason why
that.
we have. That's the reason why we have life belt, because we
Oh,
drive
yes.
so badly. We don't need drive belt if we have autonomous car most of the time, I guess so. But this will be a sign of how we drove in the past, because it was so awful. There needed drive belt. So this story will be in the history once written. I'm pretty sure we drove without limits and so on and so on. And today we have limits. Why we have limits? The autonomous car should drive as good as needed and from the environment. So there will be lots of different environment if we have one autonomous car on the car. I'm just to say this, I'm not a huge fan of saying the autonomous car is coming. I only want to say one here. If we have certain place that we have too much traffic or traffic jam, this is a good example to introduce an autonomous car, because we don't need to invest in infrastructure, because we can tighten up the cars on the street and not using too much traffic jam just to bring the cars through in the morning, the evening, whatever. So this is a good solution for preventing the investment for the future in the same environment, just to add another line and so on. So infrastructure will be the bottleneck, and infrastructure autonomous to the infrastructure helps them to keep the cost down at the end.
Great points. Those are very good points. And just to wrap up, I think we need, as Dalith and you also say, just to interact or talk with partners and commit. How do you say? Abholen von Mitarbeitern, so that they don't really, they're not really afraid of losing their job. If I install this, I lose my job. But if I install this, we'll get better solutions of new market. Yes.
This is what you see in your own job as in auditing. I mean,
yes.
It makes your life much easier, and you have more time for your client, and you are kind of the X+1 sensor. We have all the rules in place, we have AI in place. At the end of the day, it's really about us. And I think auditing is a really nice example to say, besides all this healthcare stuff that obviously for me are the nicest, but also just daily life, really tough tasks that we have to do, that we can do faster, better, more accurate. But as mentioned before, at the end of the day, it's still a human being who needs to reflect and say, oh, perhaps it can't be.
And just a disclaimer, this whole streaming here is not about blue collar. I've warned also white collar workers like doctors and lawyers and leaders especially, and maybe you should change your industry and not being in a hospital. So please join a software company and so on, because there we need you, because as a medicine doctor, you help us to make software, to make AI, to make robots better. And we need them. So there, yeah, we need less in the hospital, probably. We don't know now yet, but we need them also in other industries to grow the possibility to carry on with the sustainable goal. We need them to support also in other countries that they do not have the infrastructure for healthcare, do it better and cheaper.
Great point.
For all that it mean that's only for blue collar workers here.
That's a great point. Absolutely, that's a great point. Before we move to our second point, thank you so much. Let's see who has joined us again. You can see Sikanda from Pakistan is here with us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was away for a while. Good morning, Roswitha. Guten Morgen. Du kannst gerne deine Fragen in Deutsch oder Englisch schreiben. Thank you for joining us. And we've got Maria here. Thank you so much for joining us. And we've got Stefan. I think he also has a question. Let me see. Katrin is also here with us. Thank you so much, Stefan. Thank you, Katrin. And Stefan is saying, very interesting. Yeah, we once talked about it also regarding human rights, and I think we're just happy that you're here with us. You're continuing to say he should steer all the time because it's his responsibility, or people trust with that. Are you talking about the autonomous car?
Sorry?
No, it's the question
To question to Stefan. I'm wondering what he's talking about. I don't know what. Stefan, maybe you could
Probably
just.
we should steer all the time because it's kind of our responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
This is at least how I interpret that, and this is definitely the point. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, as we mentioned already a few times, it's ourself, and I think this is a weaknesses also from the human being, that as soon as we feel comfortable, we rely on technology. We think, okay, they're going to do, and we get how do you say, foul, lazy, and we just get lazy. It's just because it's easier to outsource even to technology. We get lazy instead of taking the responsibility. And what for me is really frustrating, if we keep hearing people saying technology is bad. It's like, the technology per se is not bad. It's it's really the human being.
It's the way we use it. I love it.
Absolutely. Everything. I mean, at the end of the day, since 9/11, we know that you can abuse airplanes to kill a huge amount of people. But the airplane per se is not crucial. It's not evil.
Great one. Even a knife at home, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you say yes? You got it right.
Come on.
Thank you, Stefan. And we've got Oliver also joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Now, so let me just wrap up for the ethical part of it, or for the responsible part of it. We should talk about it, discuss, or even transfer knowledge, discuss in teams with partners, so that and let doctors, lawyers join design project, right? Right. The second point, you've got an amazing platform. I'm a fan. It's really, really great. It's in English. You join people from all over the world with great content. When did you start?
First, I'll make the context of the cognitive virtual. May you bring in the detail of cognitive virtual. So SwissCognitive established 5 years ago, and we are bring the people together. It doesn't matter the direction, the disciplines, and so on, interdisciplinary, cross-industry, cross-country, just on a non-sales, neutral or beneficial for everyone, like a global citizen and principle, to speed up the solutions in their different companies. So it's a business network, business marketplace. And so this is what we do for large corporates on projects, but also on groups like ambassador groups. So we have an ambassador stream too, and so on. So this is the whole structure, and one of them is cognitive virtual. And
we can summarize that. The cognitive virtual is kind of the global AI community without borders, kind of les médecins sans frontières. Huh? So there are no borders, and this is talking about the ethical aspects in AI. This is something that for us is really important. It's about diversity, culture diversity. We need to learn from each other. And quite some times when I finalize our cognitive virtual, I'm saying, you know what, we're talking about so many things. At the end of the day, it's high time that we respect each other, no matter what background you are from. And if we're not able to respect each other on this level, how shall we raise our children to be better? So even there, I see a huge benefit of the technology of AI by, again, putting the mirror out and saying, hey, check that out. Why did the algorithm actually got this and these results? Is because I was reflecting my attitude, my thinking pattern, my DNA, my culture, my background, and you probably going to have another one. So why don't we sit together and take the best out of it? We call it simply cherry picking. So instead of pick the bad things, let's pick the good thing.
I love that.
we take the decisions, and instead of putting energy into battle against each other, into fighting AI, into bashing AI, we better put the energy and turn it into good. Because a lot of people, as we mentioned at the beginning, handicapped people, sick people, we can just support them. And this is about ethics, to do inclusion.
I love that.
Just
I love the way, I love the way you always narrow that to self-responsibility, self-reflection, and starting from home. Diversity begins from home. Love that. Andy.
Yeah, just some numbers. We grow to 500,000 in the community, what is a lot, and always around 3,000 viewers on our cognitive virtual, as we name them. So, and all these numbers are increased during COVID. Means a lot have question about how use now, exactly now. So it's a kind of wake up call, COVID too. And one example, and I would like to stay with them, it's only it's education in the schools. So they had no clue before, no willing to do it before, and now they had to do, and it's amazing what they achieved. Even if they could do it much better, but it's still they're started to use technology around also in the education in the schools.
How do we say? Mangels alternatieven. Due to a lack of alternatives, we just had to do it.
Pressure is always a good possibility.
The human being will always find a way. You know, there is something that I like to say. The human being is born to solve problems we invent ourselves.
Two things how we say or how we explain ourselves is one is one is we are massage the people for AI first of all, to spa for AI.
I mean, it depends on the maturity level. You need more of a sports massage, or it goes also with the Ayurvedic one, you know. And
the other
people
one
are
is
different. Right.
The other one is even more funny. The other one is as we bring real people together now on all our platform is we are the Tinder of AI. So don't take it for serious, but more or less this is what we do: matchmaking the people with the same backgrounds, or at least with the same values also. And this is what we aiming to. Yeah.
Great. Up to 3,000 viewers from all over the world. Amazing. Great mission.
Yeah.
I'll keep on supporting you. It's great. It
will be our great pleasure to invite you on our stage also.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it.
Your 1,000 with you, and we are.
I've got a family of 11 kids. I'll bring them all.
Oh, really?
Not mine, but my sisters and brothers.
Are they in AI already?
No, probably only one or two, but they use it. You know, one of my experts once said something that I would like to mention here. He once said he's an expert on human rights, and he told us, did you realize that your human rights and duties are already here? You know, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
The pyramid. It's different these days.
Wi-Fi and battery.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. Let's move on to a third. But when is your next? But before that, when is your next event? Is it you're now on summer break, right?
Yes, beginning of September will be the next one. The public one, yes. Beginning of September, yes.
Great. What will be the topic? Do you know that already?
Yes, as we have 3 billion employees that should learn AI, or what this means to them, we have a zeitgeist challenge. So this is the topic.
All right. Zeitgeist challenge. Wow.
This means a universal challenge. Yes.
Wow. Corona is also a universal challenge, right? COVID.
Oh, yeah, so we're getting used to it, isn't it?
I think this is even bigger, isn't it? So how to transform or how to involve them and lead them to the right direction. You know, it's not easy. It's sure. So we don't solve this on these days, but
No.
we will talk about it.
Yeah, but I think what we started to solve, and this is definitely one of our goals, and I'm happy to say that we are fortunate to be so successful. It's really about awareness. We do so much awareness around this topic. And if we say we need to educate around AI, we're not talking about techies. We're not talking about, learning to program Python. It's about learning the potential of technology, of cognitive technology, where to use it, and everything around it. I don't want to go into details now, but this is what we need to know. And also, one of the important things is that companies realize that they don't need to do everything by themselves. Just buy what others do because it's their core competence, because they do know how to do that. But as Andy mentioned before, we need to have from all the industries an exchange, and we need doctors or lawyers also in IT company, in development, who are actually showing where is the core of an industry and how to develop.
Great. Love that. Wow. Now, you would mention most of the things and great points, but now maybe just to summarize 3 ways to create and use responsible AI. And in these, I mean not only for designers, also investors. Where are we investing in? And what are the choices we are making as leaders also for our own companies? What are the 3 ways you'd like to share with us today? Would love to start. Andy?
I start. Okay, 3 ways. Very practical. Think about how you act will tomorrow be in an article in the news, and you say this is good. So first of all, if it's public, it should be also okay for you. Second one, if you treat it like this, then it's also good. If I feel good for this, and lastly, think about what could go wrong in affecting me. So please turn around and your view and think about the worst what could happen, and this should be avoided. So very practical. If someone talks transparent and open and public about this, you should be happy. Second, if it affects you, also, I'm also happy to have this. And lastly, think about around the corner and turn around the view and think what could go very, very wrong and avoid this thing.
Yes. What could go wrong? Yeah, I think that's something you will have to take time for, to imagine what could go wrong, not only for the first primary user, but also for the secondary users and all that.
Yeah,
right?
Normally as a pioneer, as an owner of an ID, you are not able to do this. So you have to involve and invite people to give you insights, what could go wrong, not only on the product or service, but also generally how this can be misused in other purposes. As we know, all the technology can be misused, and this is exactly the point where we should act and also guiding ourselves with the product development. Yes.
Love that. Thank you so much. Dear Dalith, would you like to add something on that?
There's not much to add. The only thing what I can say and repeat myself again, it starts and ends with a human being. So the mirror is a very important thing, whatever we do. And that also, and this is perhaps something that we can spotlight a little bit more, it's also responsibility of the end user. If the end user uses any kind of technology, realizes that something goes wrong, don't bash it, go back to the company, tell them we all rely on sharing our experience to make it better. And we just had quite some very nice examples. And one of them, Avraham Gottheil just mentioned at our cognitive workshop last time, when he talked about the new invention for a robo vacuum cleaner, where you were able to text, what he should do. And suddenly you get a call and you're texting him, be quiet. And he doesn't know what does that mean, be quiet, because it hasn't been implemented. So the user gets angry. And this is something that if you go back and forward in an iterative process and you go back to the team or to the company, whoever is developing those solutions, and tell them, hey, you forgot to think about that I need to have a button. Hey, I get a phone call. I need to be able to tell the vacuum cleaner immediately, be quiet or shut down or whatever. And a similar use case we had, and I just want to share this because I think use cases shows the best how important it is that we go back and forward between the developers, the companies who provide solutions, and the end users, is with regards to chatbot. We have one client, they actually took all the good experience and all the failures they've heard from others and made it much better. And they came out with their chatbot. The reason for it was actually that people from a garage were able to order spare parts, and it should be much faster and much easier. Now, what is the crucial point if you pull out of a garage? Background noise.
Wow.
But no one had that before, because all the chatbot examples we had were from banking industry, insurance industry, medical industry. No one had these examples before, and they shared it with our community. And I think this is what is very important. Now, what happened, because they somehow forgot to include the end user into this iterative process, they would have found out much earlier. What happened now is they upset them. And the mechanician is not really the person who is open to such kind of technology. He needs to work. He doesn't have time to struggle. So we have really to onboard, and you mentioned it right in the beginning yourself, we need to onboard the people to unlock fears, actually to unlock the potential and to manage fears.
Wow.
Maybe don't start us anymore, because with autonomous car.
That's probably not the best command for the people out there. At the end, I would rather go to. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I love to interact with people.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great. Those are great use cases. I mean, nothing better than that. Learning from the failures from my whatever concurrent, whatever. That's a great one. Yeah, a great example. I can see Stephanie saying he's already connected with you. Yeah, Stefan, they're great people, and I hope in September you'll join the event and bring along some people with you. It's a lot of content, amazing people too. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion with you, and your real example, simple ways of using more responsible AI and bring it down to us, we humans. Make it better or not. We have a choice. Thank you so much. What are you going to do today?
We're going to start breakfast now, and I really hope the sun is coming out, and we're just going to lie in the garden, enjoy Sunday, and recharge batteries for tomorrow.
Great.
And you?
Family time in the afternoon. I'll watch this one once again, say thanks to our community, and then it's family time Sunday afternoon.
All the best, Suzanne.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, dear community, Stefan, Oliver. See you all. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Have a good time.
Bye.